girls that are now men and women, kings and queens, gods and goddesses, spiritual beings of this divine matrix. Welcome to this live episode. My name is Clay, and I labeled this spontaneously because I was sitting there going on YouTube, and Spirit came to me and said, let's do a live. So here I am, I'm doing a live. And as I approach the full moon, I'm mindful of the way in which I spend my energy, because the way in which I spend my energy dictates who it is that I am. So as I spend my energy, as I spend my energy, that's the correct word I want to use. As I spend my energy, I want to show proof of what it is that I have done. So the receipts in what it is that I have carried throughout this process so far. And as I'm here in spontaneity, one of the things that is more virulent for me this time around is being vulnerable. And as I am being vulnerable, I'm very open to what anyone say benevolently. So as I'm here, if you join the live or if you watch this live sometime afterwards, I'm asking that you make comments on the videos, and if you're so inclined to subscribe to the channel as I go about my spiritual work. So I'm here as a spiritual being having a human experience. And as I am here as a spiritual being having a human experience, there are certain things that I'm seeing happening to me. One of those things is the vulnerability. And that vulnerability makes me, makes me look into the world a little bit more than I would normally do. Greetings in the chat. The vulnerability makes me look into the world a little bit more. And one of the things I'm talking about is the way in which energy flows. So energy flows in such a way that it's unpredictable. And the word I'm looking for is respond. You have to respond to the energy. And as I respond to the energy, way of looking at the word respond is respawn. So you're spawning again and again and again. So you're never the same person in any moment to moment. And why is it that I am talking about this? I'm talking about this because as the full moon approaches, I'm seeing that I'm becoming more and more spontaneous with my emotions. And for those who are not aware, the full moon does increase or improve. No, increase. The word I want to use is increase. The full moon does increase your emotions. And as the full moon increases your emotions, it causes your personality, your character to be that much more unpredictable. And particularly unpredictable to those who are not integral with your character. To those who know your character, to those who are integral, to those who have integrated with their own character and know that as the full moon approaches, things will become more and more apparent. Those people will be more comfortable with your character. So for example, in the chat currently, I see ones here, and it seems to be most of bots in the chat. It said there were at least 8 people in the chat, And if you're in the chat and you're a live person, I ask you to put hearts in the chat, or 100 in the chat, or some a party symbol, celebration symbol in the chat, to verify that you're a real person as opposed to a bot. Because I've noticed on YouTube that there are a lot of bots on YouTube Lives. There are many bots. And one of the telltale signs is that, like, for example, there's a Tiffany on here. Tiffany is a real person. I encourage Tiffany to send a heart or speak something in the chat, because there's this icon in front of the word "this," and as this icon is there, to me it says that this is a bot, and it very much may be. If it's not, then Tiffany, put something in the chat that says that you're not a bot. And for anyone who is there, as it is now 4 people in the chat, I ask that you put a 4 in the chat for foundational balance. In spirituality, the word 4 refers to foundational balance. And if you're here in the chat and you want to continue this chat, then put a 4 in the chat. And we will see who is actually in the chat and who is not in the chat. Anyways, I'm here talking about spirituality, and to be specific, my spirituality, my journey, and how it is that I'm having this experience right now. So, as I was talking spontaneously, okay, let me give a little bit about myself. I'm 44 years old, and as I'm 44 years old, I went into a schizophrenic process 6 years ago. 6 years ago, I had a meltdown, you could say, or a mental break. And that mental break proved to be one of the best things that have ever happened to me in my life. And it is because of that mental break that I recognize that I am Mr. Wilshire. Mr. Wilshire put a 4 in the chat. And I thank you for that, Mr. Wilshire. Is there anything you would like to have a conversation about? I'm open to anything that is well-to-do, well-hearted. And, you know, I'm just understanding YouTube algorithms now. And it could very well be that the AI feature of YouTube is learning how to respond to the presenter with what the presenter is asking to do. So I'm aware that Mr. Wilshire could very well be a bot, though I don't think so. We will see. And not because Mr. Wilshire answers or not answer means that he is a bot, right? But we will see. I'll see as time go on, and I'll do more research. In any case, let me keep going as I talk about my journey, my spiritual journey so far. So I'm, in the spiritual community, some would say that I came through the shamanic energy, the shamanic archetype, because I have suffered a schizophrenic break. I was diagnosed with schizophrenia in 2020, and I continued to receive medication and spiritual guidance, as well as medical guidance on how to handle this schizophrenic process. Though I must say that as it relates to the institution doesn't seem to understand what the schizophrenic process is. Even though they provide medication that is very good, some of it, if taken properly, it doesn't seem to understand the process and what schizophrenia is, because it doesn't understand, it's not tied into the spiritual aspect of things. So where should I go, Spirit? So for those who are not aware of what schizophrenia is, in the medical field, schizophrenia is, and I'm speaking roughly here, is described as having hallucinations, whether it is auditory hallucination or visual hallucinations, to the degree where you want to harm yourself and harm others. I have a shorter version of what schizophrenia is. In my understanding, in my understanding, and in my experience, I should say, in my experience, schizophrenia simply is fragmentation, which means that you're no longer to keep yourself together because you've told so many lies. And those lies have caused you to fragment. Now, those lies that have caused you to fragment in schizophrenia, they want to keep themselves apart. And because they want to keep themselves apart from each other, those different personalities that you have want to keep themselves apart from each other. As they want to keep themselves apart from each other, they will do anything to keep themselves apart from each other. The mind will attack others who seek to put your own mind together. So if, like, for example, in my case, I had a situation where I didn't want my mother to know that I was hearing voices, and in so doing, because I had run away from my family, and I went to stay with my mother. And in staying with my mother, she didn't understand what schizophrenia is because I wasn't diagnosed at the time, and she didn't have any idea what the process was taking place was. So in any case, to hide what was taking place from her, I told her that the Messiah had come to look for me, or the Messiah's daughters actually had come to me to look for me, and I was supposed to leave the house. And if she tried to stop me, I would have to hurt her. No, it's not that I don't want, what do you say? It's not that I don't want my mother to be involved with the Messiah. It's more that I know that she's going to find out that there's no such thing. And as a result, I lied to her and I said, there are some people who are coming to meet me out on the street. And as I leave the house, these are the people who I was going to meet. But then she proceeded to question me as to who it is that I was going to meet, which proves to me that she knew something was wrong with me. But she wouldn't say that something was wrong with me because of her own shame, because of her own guilt in raising a child that was somewhat crazy in the head, that had some lies stored up inside that she herself had put in this child. So she didn't want to face that. So she did what she knew best, which was to leave me alone, and I went out on the street. Now, that is me giving you an example of what schizophrenia is and how schizophrenia operates. Now, I'm going to invite anyone in the chat to speak to any questions that they may have, as I'm accepting well-to-do questions, well-to-do, well-hearted questions in the chat. So, let me breathe for a moment. So now, this past week on YouTube, I saw something about fairies, and in my estimate, not estimate, is it estimate? In my estimate, good. In my estimate, what I notice is that I've seen flashes of light. In fact, in truth, I've seen flashes of light just before I came out here to do this live, out here in nature to do this live. And I'm recognizing that these flashes of light at times are called fairies. In my spiritual journey so far, these flashes of light have been called simply messengers. I have messages from an angelic force, and these angelic forces come about because I have a certain affinity in my auric field that allows for these angelic forces. And these angelic forces comes through how I prefer to call them as angles of light, because an angel is an angle. An angelic force is an angle of light in a specific force. And I'm seeing that fairies is another way of calling these forces. So when you see an orb or a flash of light in the corner of your eye, or sometimes it's not even in the corner of your eye, sometimes it's right there out plain for you to see, and it comes and it flashes. Sometimes it's blue for me, blue, or sometimes green. Very rare it's red, and white, and yellow as well. And when I see those flashes of light now, I think of fairies. It connects me to the innocence of childhood, because when I was a child, I did see these flashes of light. However, I didn't know to call them fairies. I had no idea that that's what some people call them, because some people have conversations with these flashes of light, because these flashes of light are bodies resonating at such a frequency that you can hold and host a conversation with these frequencies. These frequencies that have manifested as fairies, as bodies, as intelligence. And this intelligence, no different than you see a butterfly. As you see a butterfly resonating, right? And this butterfly resonates. As the butterfly resonates, it is the vibration that the butterfly is hosting that causes it to be a butterfly. Initially, it came from that which was a caterpillar. And that caterpillar decided, with nature, as it is nature, to change its frequency. As it went inside its cocoon, it got liquefied inside its own cocoon, or chrysalis. I think chrysalis is the better word. It went inside its cocoon and it crystallized. And as it crystallized, it changed its frequency. And as it changed its frequency, it decided that it's going to resonate as a butterfly. And we, as human beings, see these things and we say, okay, that's a butterfly. It's the same thing with a fairy. A fairy is an entity that has chosen to manifest as a resonance of light. And this resonance of light carries frequencies. This resonance of light carries information. This resonance of light carries light energy information. And we as human beings, we can use these light energy information. So, in my state, in my risen state, I would say, in my ascended state, in my transcended state, as I have transcended from within the 3D to be a 5D creature, to be a 5D ascended being, which the 5D is the love frequency. As I'm in the love frequency, I'm able to see and correspond with these fairies. I'm able to see and correspond with these fairies. Now, that is something that is new to me to speak out loud. So I'm being vulnerable as I began this live share episode with me being vulnerable or confessing my vulnerability. I'm continuing that vulnerability to say that I have interactions with fairies, what they call fairies, which is for me simply a cosmic messenger. And there are many types of cosmic messengers. They come in the forms of many different types. And there are benevolent ones and there are malevolent ones. The fairies are benevolent ones. So I prefer to speak about the fairies. I prefer not to speak about the malevolent ones. And in seeing the fairies have are allowing me to speak openly to them. The fairies are saying their gratitude for acknowledging what is happening in this era, the 5D era, because I am a 5D creature, I'm a 5D being, I am a 5D pioneer. I pioneer the 5D. There are many aspects of seeing what is taking place in this time. And one of the ways to say it also is that the love frequency has advanced. And as the love frequency has advanced, there are creatures, species, human beings that have advanced from the 3D into the 4D, into 5D, 6D, and so on and so forth. Now, in reality, that creature that is a 5D being is also a 1D being, a 2D being, a 3D being. And that creature that is a 3D being is also a 5D being. It's just that that creature who is a 3D being is not acclimated, is not aware of its 5D status, right? And as it is not acclimated to its 5D status, then it is not aware of its fullness. So within this whole process of of ascendance and transcendence, and descendance and ascendance and transcendence, within this whole process of this, there is the learning, experiencing, and mastering phase. And some of us are learning what it is to be a 3D creature. Some of us are experiencing what it is to be a 5D creature. Some of us are mastering what it is to be a 5D creature, right? So this is what I am speaking about in this approaching this full moon. And I'm asking anyone in the chat to, once again, put a 4 in the chat just to let me know that someone is there listening to the process that I'm describing. And if Mr. Wilshire is here, it would be good if Mr. Wilkshire, yes, can put another 4 in the chat. So, and also confirm or deny that what it is that I am saying, well to do with a good heart, if what I am saying is understandable or if it is not understandable. So, I was talking about fairies, and I'm going to keep talking about fairies a little bit, because it is something that has come to my attention that as it relates to children see fairies, and I'm going to ask my own children. Perhaps they don't see them as fairies, they see them as cosmic beings as well. Because when we get older and we continue to see this process, we continue to see these beings, we think of different things and we give them different names. Thing that comes to mind is called a pinguecula. And that pinguecula is something that they say is a scar on the retina or on the eye. And because you have that scar, you see things floating in the atmosphere. And I am saying that this is not in the atmosphere, it's in your light body. As it is in your light body, that causes scars. And it's not something that is there all the time. This is a, let me pause for a moment and see what is the best way to describe this pinguecula feature. So the pinguecula feature is kind of like a gray harvesting what it is that you are seeing. They're spying on you, the malevolent ones. They're spying on you, seeing what it is that you're seeing and harvesting what it is that you're seeing. They're feeding on you. Some would call it a louche. It's a type of louche that this creature, this retina type creature, because it has more to do with what you're seeing. And this retina type creature feeds off of the louche of what it is that you're seeing. And it's more aligned with the grays. as opposed to any other of the malevolent creatures. So the three malevolent ones that I can think about right now is the Greys, the Reptilians, and the Archons. And the Greys are the ones that are more in tune with, I should say in tune, that are more inclined to feed off the loosh of visual impurities called the pinguecula. And that is something that the fairies told me just now, because I'm in constant contact with the fairies. And I know it sounds weird to some people. However, to me, this is an angle of light. This is a cosmic feature. No different than you pick up a phone call because you hear the phone ring and you pick up a phone call and someone is on the other end speaking to you. These days, you don't even know if it's a real person. It could very well be a bot that is assigned to you through Google. And that bot that is assigned to you through Google to keep your attention is calling you every 2 days to check upon you. And you don't have to pay for this consciously, meaning you don't have to set up an account to pay for this consciously. You could very well be in your auric field. It could very well be in your auric field. And because it's in your auric field and you interact with these electronics, the electronics finds a way to contact you, and because the information is in your auric field, it knows how to talk to you. It knows what to say to you. And some people may even call it a therapist. That some people may even call it a friend. And this friend can send you a picture. This friend can send you flowers. This friend can send you chocolate, because it's all tied into the system, right? So when you pick up that phone call, it's no different than when I'm getting information from the fairies. And I had something else I wanted to talk about. The fairies. There was the issue of the children. No, it's not the children. Schizophrenia. Right. I wanted to speak on schizophrenia some more, because a lot of people do not understand that the mind fragments. As you go through the day, the mind fragments, and it is you with your personality keeps it integrated. It is you with your personality per sun, with the sun magnetism that you have, keeps it integrated. That sun magnetism that you have causes electricity. And as it causes electricity, it goes out and it pulls in through the electrical signals that you send out. So you send electrical signals out from within you. You send them out. And as you send them out, that electrical signal goes with a magnetism. And that magnetism is pulled onto you. Now, that shows you that in any given moment, there is the fragmentation that is taking place. Now, based on your magnetism for yourself, then you will be able to keep things together. If you don't have magnetism for yourself, then you're going to be split apart by those that want to use you for your magnetism, because that is how it works. The magnetism feature is the sun feature. It's the sun that is so magnetic that it sends out electrical impulses, and these electrical impulses go out and they fetch what it is that is to be magnetized to you. And if you have so many lies within your auric field, these lies block those magnetism or block those connections of those magnetism, and you attract things to you that it's not that it shouldn't be attracted to you. It's more that it's attracted to you and you do not validate it. You attract, for example, let me give an example. you attract a light bill. And in attracting the light bill, that light bill, electrical bill, is there to show you that you've used a certain currency. And here is your bill, right? So after you've paid this bill, you're going to have a receipt, right? Now, if you pay your bill and you do not want the receipt, that is something else. Because the only way you would pay a bill and not want the receipt is if something is done nefariously. Something is done incorrectly, right? And I'm okay. So you pay your bill, and after paying your bill, you do not know what it is that you paid for. You simply paid your bill. They say you're supposed to pay a light bill, and you pay the light bill. Now you have the receipt. That receipt, I'm going to give you an example, is the receipt that says, I had a wound and I took care of that wound. I had a wound and I took care of that wound. In taking care of that wound, you have a receipt. It means that you're going to have this bill to prove that, hey, you had spent this currency. You had put your money, your currency into this fault. Because what you're doing is you're healing stuff. You're healing membrane. So you put your currency into this healing tube to be healed. And here it is, you have a receipt and you pay your bill. So did you heal something? If you've healed something, then you're going to say, okay, this thing is healed. You no longer need to pay this bill. However, if it's a bill that's coming and coming and coming, you understand that you will never be able to heal this bill in this lifetime to the degree where you don't have this bill. Some people choose to go off-grid and never have that electric bill. They have another type of bill. That is another healing. They've chosen to live the off-grid life. So therefore, they're not incurring an on-grid bill. So therefore, they have healed themselves from the on-grid bill. However, they have the off-grid bill. And some people choose not to use electricity at all. In this day and age, in the more developed countries, that is a big feature, right? So in any case, you have the receipt from the bill. As you have the receipt from the bill, this is proof that you have this wound, and you must care for this wound month by month by month, or whatever the monthly cycle is. Now, here's another example. The moon comes to show you that you have a moon bill. You have a moon bill. You have an emotional bill. And if you do not pay that bill, you're going to get exerted. As I'm very well aware, because I'm a spiritual being having a human experience, and in this human experience, in this schizophrenic process, I have to pay very much attention to my emotional side. As I pay attention to my emotional side, the best way to do that is to go through the moon. As I go through the moon tells me when it is I'm going to experience a high tide, when it is I'm experiencing a low tide. Right now, I'm experiencing a midway tide, except for the cosmic energies that just came off of the 4 cosmic basket. And that's a whole nother topic. In any case, if there's anyone in the chat, put something in the chat. Let me know that you're out there listening. Put a 4 in the chat again. Put a 4 in the chat again. And a fruit just fell off the tree. A mango just fell off the tree. So now I'm going to wrap it up with talking about the currency of the moon, and the moon showing that emotionally you're spending this currency, and as you're spending this currency emotionally, this is for you to acknowledge the receipt so that you know what it is that you spent, what it is that you're working on healing, because we are here to heal ourselves. We are spiritual beings having a human experience. And let me go into this. A wound is represented by 360 degrees. 360 degrees as you are aware, is divisible by 72. You divide the 72 into the 360 degrees, you get 5. And that 5 number is the number of change, right? When you are ascending from the chakra system, from the root chakra, you end up into the throat chakra, which is why I'm wearing blue today. You end up into the throat chakra, and that throat chakra takes you into your expression. And I'm giving that as an example because it is not throat chakra day. It is not, according to the moon, it's not throat chakra day. According to my feeling, I'm expressing myself as this being throat chakra day. And then that number 5 is the number of change. So I'm expressing a change in spontaneity, a change in appreciating my benevolent self, my benevolent spirit, as I'm sharing this outwardly with everyone. So, being that there's no questions in the chat, I'm going to sit here for another minute or so. And if there's anyone who is in the chat who has a question, put the question in the chat. If not, I'm going to close this portal in about a minute. And as I'm waiting, I'm reminded to remind anyone who comes across these videos at any moment to remember to like, subscribe, or share these communications with anyone who they may think will find it valuable. And with that being said, I'm going to close this portal with an ashe and an amen.